And I'm back for part two, Professor Holly, part two of the brain dissection. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm taking it out of the package. And let's go ahead and jump right into it. So, right here we have these two cranial nerves, which are, it's 12 cranial nerves, and they have sensory and motor, they send sensory and motor signals throughout the spinal cord through the brain. So these are the cranial nerves right here. Then we have optic nerves. And these are the optic nerves right here, as you can see. And the optic nerves transfer your vision, your visual info from your retina. Okay? And then going on, we have the okay. So I'm trying to keep count here. So that was two. So then we have the frontal lobe, which is the left and right frontal lobe, which is right here, which is perception, personality, judgment. Then we have the parietal lobes, left and right, which are right here. And the parietal lobes are for memory, proprioception, somatic sensation. And the proprioception, I remember you asked Erica, hey, do you have to look at your feet to know what they are, your toes? And she's like, oh no. So yeah, that was proprioception. Then we have the temporal lobes, which are located here, the right and the left located here. And that's for memory and hearing and emotion. And then back here, we have the occipital lobes, okay? And that is for your vision. That is for your vision. Okay? So, um, then we have the longitudinal fissure, which is right here. But before we get into that, let's go ahead and just do the stem really fast because I have all this memorized. So let's go ahead. So we have the brain stem right here. And then for the brain stem, we're going to do the cerebellum, the medulla, and the cerebrum. I'm sorry, the medulla and the pons. Okay. So we have the pons, and right here in the pons, this is where we decusate our memory. This is where our memory, it decussates from one side to the other because maybe the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body. So it has to go up, decussate, which means it's transfer. You say it like a bridge. It crosses over like a bridge to the other side to control the movement. Then we go up and we have the medulla. Well, the medulla is under it's the medulla, then the pons. So we have the medulla first. And the medulla is what controls your basic body functions, which is like your breathing and your heart rate. And we talked about Mike, the headless chicken, who had the medulla and lived. We can't forget about Mike, okay? And then we have the, so I'm not really familiar, but I'm going by what I know. And then we have the spinal cord, of course. Okay, we have the spinal cord. And the spinal cord is made like this on here versus the human because the sheep, the head is made this way. Instead of the humans, the spinal cord would have been here. But the spinal cord is what controls your it was your afferent and efferent signals are sent up your spinal cord, which controls your movements and contractions and things like that. So that's your spinal cord. Let's keep going. Well, you know what? Yeah, okay. So let's go ahead and cut this thing open. But first, before we go, I just want to make sure I'm covering everything. Talk about the gyrus and the sulcus. So this is the meninges, which covers the brain, and then CSF is the fluid that will have washed the brain, and then we have these little uh, cortex, um, or sulci and gyrus. The the sulc is the brain is made like this so that we can get as much information into the brain as we can. So that's why the brain is jumbled up and wrinkled and made how it is. Okay, so back to the sulcus and the gyrus. So for the cortex, so the sulcus is the brain goes up and down. So the one that goes deep in is the sulcus, and the one that comes up out of the cortex, that's the gyrus. So the function of those is to just store information and send information to have dendrites and stuff like that. I believe. So let's keep going, and if not, it'll come back to me. Okay. Also, let's talk about the longitudinal fissure. So, okay. So the longitudinal fissure is right here. So, with the longitudinal fissure, we're going to go ahead and cut this thing down, all right? Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and just cut it in half. Ew. So squishy. Okay, so I did a sagittal cut on here. So I'm looking for a lot of things inside, which is going to be kind of difficult to do this because it isn't how it was on most of the slides and videos. But let's just go ahead with what we have. So right here is the corpus callosum, which the corpus callosum is the biggest part that holds it together. And the corpus callosum is the commissure is the largest part of the commissure, which is a bundle of axons. And this is for when you get pregnant. It gets larger. It grows to help you in caring for the baby. And also the corpus callosum, it's like I said, it's the biggest part that holds it together. So next we're going to do let's get into these. So we have the corpus callosum right here. Okay. And then we have the thalamus, which is right by the corpus callosum, which is, sorry, I'm trying to tend to these kids and do this at the same time. The corpus callosum, I'm sorry, the thalamus, the thalamus is right here. Okay, this is the thalamus right here. And the thalamus is grand central station. So information is received here, and then it goes to where it needs to be. It's not processed. It's just received here. Okay? And then it goes to where it needs to go, and you refer this to Grand Central Station. Then we have the cerebrum. So the cerebrum is this right here. So it's this whole area right here. Okay? And the cerebrum, um, we have the cerebrum. The function of the cerebrum is to, hold on, I'm thinking. Oh, thinking, duh. It's the thinking part of your brain. The cerebrum is the thinking part of your brain, which the two hemispheres are connected through the corpus callosum, and that's the cerebrum, which is the thinking part of your brain. Okay, so let's go right here to the cerebellum, this large part right here. And the cerebellum is our little brain, as you call it, which is for balance, coordination, um, yeah. Then we have, shh, 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 shh. Y'all get down. I'm sorry. Okay, so then we have the the optic nerve. I'm sorry, well, we already did the optic nerve. Okay, let me see. What am I missing? The optic. Let me see. I'm gonna have to cut this thing in half. Okay. Okay. So this right here is the optic chisum. I'm not quite sure how we pronounce it. But that's a part of the optic nerve. So, let's see, what am I missing? So let's look at the hypothalamus, which is I would say right here. Say this is the hypothalamus. Right here. So this is the hypothalamus. And the function of the hypothalamus is to sleep, eating, sexual behavior, and this is the one we talked about that is located right behind your eyes, which you were saying that if you want to go to sleep at night, you want to get some rest, turn your TV off, turn the air down, so that you can get good rest. Um, we talked about the cerebral cortex. I just want to make sure I got everything. The lateral ventricle is right here, okay? And the lateral ventricle, it separates the lateral fissure, bear with me. Separates the frontal and temporal lobe. We talked about the cerebral cortex with the gyrus and the sulcus used to hold info. Let's talk about the forebrain. So this is at the front. This is the forebrain, which is used to you were saying if you're not 25, you don't have a good judgment, so that's used for judgment. Okay, so if somebody commits a crime, they're not 25, it will be looked at as they're tried. They'll have a little bit of mercy on them, hopefully. Then we have the transverse fissure, which goes left to right, which that separates the I'm so nervous. The front and the back. The separates the two. Uh okay, I'm running out of time. So we did the cranial nerve and cranial nerve 1 and 2. I just want to make sure I got 20.